While Europe was stuck in the Dark Ages, one African empire controlled more gold than the rest of the world combined, and you've probably never heard of it: the Ghana Empire, the very first great empire of West Africa. The empire was basically running the world's first gold monopoly 1,000 years before anyone else figured out how economics worked. When Arab traders finally reached their capital city, they described streets lined with gold and markets so rich they made Baghdad look poor. Yet somehow, this empire that dominated global trade for over 800 years has been almost completely erased from history. So, what happened to the Ghana Empire? How did they get so powerful? And why don't your history books mention the civilization that was arguably richer than Rome at its peak? Today, we're diving into the lost golden empire that rewrote the rules of wealth and power centuries before Europe even knew Africa existed. Who built it? And what happened to them and to the empire for it to collapse? The old Ghana Empire, known as Ouagadougou by its rulers and people, was an ancient Western Sahelian empire. The name Ghana means warrior king or war chief and was the name given to the rulers of the empire. Kaya Maghan, meaning king of gold, was another title for these kings. The region was eventually called Ghana because most of the outsiders, mostly the North Africans who traded with them, referred to the region Ghana because the people called their rulers that. The Ghana Empire wasn't in the same location as modern-day Ghana. It was founded around the 8th and 9th centuries by the Soninke people united under a leader known as Dinga Chise and lasted till the early 13th century. The Soninke people are a West African Manda-speaking ethnic group who originated from Mali, southern Mauritania, eastern Senegal, the Gambia, and Guinea, where the empire was found. It is believed that Dinga Chisse migrated into the Sahel from the northeast, possibly Aswan, Egypt. Before the rule of Dinga Chisse, the Soninke lived in smaller clans and villages, often vulnerable to raids and struggling with drought and conflict. Dinga Chisse brought these clans together, creating stability and forming the basis of what would become the Ghana Empire. After Dinga Chisse's death, his son Diabe succeeded him and founded Ouagadougou. Along with the history, the Soninke people also passed down a powerful legend. The Soninke people are known for their oral tradition, and according to them and their oral tradition, their wealth and prosperity came from a great black serpent spirit called Bida. According to the story, Bida, a serpent deity, promised the people two things, which was rain for their crops and abundance of gold from the earth. But in return, the serpent demanded a terrible price every year. A virgin maiden had to be offered to him as a sacrifice. These sacrifices kept the land so rich, the rivers full, and the gold mines producing. The Ghana Empire continued to flourish under Bida's blessing until one year, when a young man said no, he would not give up his bride to the serpent, so he tracked down the serpent Bida and killed him. Before dying, the serpent placed a curse on the Soninke. Without him, the rain would vanish and the empire's wealth would fade away. To the Soninke people, Bida's story was no mere tale, it was living truth. The location of this new empire or kingdom was key. The empire's location in the Sahel, that vast corridor stretching between the Sahara's edge and the southern forests, made it the gateway for West Africa's greatest trade networks. It fully controlled the Trans Saharan Gold trade. South of their territory lay some of the continent's most productive gold fields, particularly in Bambouk and Bure. It is known that the abundance of gold in this empire in West Africa was something never seen before. This precious metal commanded desire across continents, from African kingdoms to North African markets, Middle Eastern markets, and European courts. To the north, across the Sahara, traders brought in another resource that was just as important, which is salt. In the hot Sahel and forest zones, salt was essential for preserving food and staying healthy. Alongside salt came textiles, copper, and horses, carried by long camel caravans across the desert. As the gateway between gold mines and salt deposits, Ghana commanded the flow of West Africa's most precious commodities. This strategic monopoly transformed the empire into a commercial powerhouse, enriched by taxes placed on every trading expedition. Every trade route that crossed Ghana added to its prosperity, and over time, this system of gold, salt, and taxation turned the Soninke kingdom into the first great empire of West Africa. The Soninke people who built the Ghana Empire lived a way of life shaped by their environment, their traditions, and the wealth of their empire. Most Soninke were farmers. They grew millet, sorghum, and other grains that could survive in the dry Sahel climate. Some also kept livestock such as cattle, goats, and sheep. Farming and herding provided food for villages, while trade brought in luxuries like salt, cloth, and horses. The Soninke were also skilled blacksmiths and artisans. Ironworking was especially important not only for farming tools and weapons, but also for trade. Blacksmiths held a respected and sometimes even mystical status in Soninke society. Family and community were key to their way of life. The Soninke lived in clans, often organized by lineage, with elders holding authority. Their society was structured and ordered, with nobles, warriors, farmers, craftsmen, and slaves each having a role. The Soninke worshipped a creator god while also honoring nature spirits and their ancestors. Through rituals and sacrifices, they kept peace between the physical and spiritual worlds. Over time, Islam began to spread into the empire, especially through trade. Muslim merchants and scholars settled in the trading towns, building mosques and introducing new religious practices. However, many Soninke in the royal court and countryside continued to follow their traditional beliefs. Two beliefs lived side by side: the original Soninke religion that was tied to their homeland, their families, and their ancestors. Islam, tied to international trade, learning, and literacy. This balance helped the Ghana Empire stay connected to its own traditions while also being part of the larger Islamic world. This made it one of the most important civilizations in early West African history. The empire's capital was Kumbi Saleh, a remarkable city that stood at the heart of Ghana's power. It was often described as a twin city. One half was the royal city, where the Soninke king, his court, and the traditional nobles lived. This side was the center of politics, power, and Soninke customs. The other half was a busy Muslim trading town. Here, merchants from North Africa and beyond gathered to buy and sell goods. The city was filled with markets, mosques, and scholars, making it an important hub of Islamic culture and learning. This division made Kumbi Saleh unique. It allowed Ghana to remain deeply rooted in Soninke traditions and beliefs, while at the same time benefiting from international trade networks and the growing influence of Islam. Together, the two halves of Kumbi Saleh reflected the strength of Ghana itself, a kingdom built on both local unity and global connections. They kept their empire safe with a strong military. Their soldiers had iron weapons from skilled metalworkers, giving them a big advantage over neighbors who only had wooden or stone tools. The army also included a strong cavalry, warriors on horseback who could move quickly across the open Sahel. This speed and strength made Ghana difficult to challenge in battle. The Soninke could also get help from other tribes and kingdoms that paid them for protection. These groups had to send warriors when Ghana needed them. This system brought in not just soldiers, but also goods, taxes, and loyalty, adding to the empire's power and wealth. The Soninka military did more than fight wars. Its main role was to keep the trade routes safe. With secure roads and protection from raiders, merchants trusted Ghana's lands as the safest passage for their caravans. For centuries, this combination of iron weapons, cavalry, and tribute secured Ghana's dominance, making it the strongest power in West Africa. By the 11th century, Ghana's power began to fade. Serious droughts lasted for years, destroying harvests and making it tough to keep the empire running. At the same time, fighting broke out inside the empire as different clans and provinces turned against the king. From the north, a new threat appeared. The Almoravids, a Muslim group from North Africa, invaded West Africa. They attacked Ghana, disrupted trade, and weakened the empire's control. With drought, internal struggles, and foreign invasions combined, Ghana slowly lost its power. The Ghana Empire ended by the 13th century, and new powers like the Mali Empire took control of it and West Africa. However, the Soninke left an important legacy. They built the first true empire in the area and showed how trade control, good leadership, and unity could create a strong state from small tribes. Ghana became the model for future West African kingdoms,